Hey, so tell us a little bit about your junior college journey. You know, how you went from being born and raised in Dallas, Texas, to Fullerton College, and then winding up as a Boilermaker.
Yeah, so I was born and raised Houston, Texas, but like still
Or
Texas
Houston,
boy.
sorry.
Yes, sir. And then I started off at TCU as a walk-on. With my mom's alma mater, and then pretty much didn't feel that it was a good fit for me, and so I took a chance on myself, reached out, and got in contact with the coaches over at Fullerton and just did my research about the place, and then got out there. And the thing about California JuCo system is there's no type of scholarship. So with the National Junior College system, they have scholarships where you can go and be paid for. But I took a chance on myself and had to pretty much get a couple jobs, take care of myself while I was out there, and just started playing. Got out there in July. First game was a few weeks later in August, and then I had a difficult time adjusting, just balancing my personal life and taking care of myself and being able to, my livelihood with football. But it's like I was able to strengthen my faith a lot during that time and grow my relationship with God. And I understood that it was all part of His plan and not my own. And so I was able to really just hone in on what needed to be done. And through that dedication, through that work, and through the people that were around me at Fullerton College, I was able to get my first three offers in a day on our the day of our fourth game against San Diego Mesa. And then Purdue was the first Power 5 school to offer me about a week later. And so it was just a very humbling experience, but an experience that I wouldn't be here without, and I'm grateful for the entire experience.
What kind of jobs did you work?
I had one security job. I worked security at this festival called Rolling Loud. I had an acting job, so I acted on a TV show called All American. And then I had a referee job. So I worked as a part-time youth referee for this company called I-9.
What was the acting experience like for you?
It was pretty cool. I was really just a stand-in and had a bunch of I caught a touchdown on the last season 6, episode 9, and so I caught a touchdown in that episode. But it was really just playing football and meeting a bunch of guys that were around football their whole lives.
How hard is it to choreograph what you do for a living?
Yeah, it was definitely a learning experience for sure. We had rehearsals, which were like our practices at East LA football stadium, and it was fun. It was definitely fun.
How did you hear about that opportunity, or how did you get that?
I had a teammate who was George Dua. He was 6'7", about I think 350, and he was already doing the job. He had been in California for a lot longer than I had, and he reached out on my behalf, just like, hey, I have a teammate who's about to go play Division I football, and also another job I didn't mention was a little bit of modeling on the side, but he just said he reached out to them and they got in contact with me, and I came out for a couple episodes.
Was it a little bit difficult at first? It seemed like your heart was maybe set on going to TCU, and then the fit maybe didn't work out. And like you mentioned, your dad, your mom being former Division I athletes.
I wouldn't necessarily say that I was dead set on TCU. I think a big part of why I went was it was my mom's dream, and it's where she had went, and so I had to. A big part of it was like really growing my faith and understanding what it was that I wanted for myself and what I viewed as my purpose. And I didn't feel that I was accomplishing my purpose while I was there. And I didn't feel like I was allowing myself to reach my full potential.
What was the living situation there like?
I was in a dorm the first semester during their bowl game and championship run. I was a regular student, so I wasn't even a part of the team. And then during the spring is when I joined the team and played during the spring ball and had a catch during the spring games. So I used to stay in Shirley Hall dorm that was right next to the stadium.
Yeah. How has the junior college experience, changed your perspective? I mean, being this state champion in track and in football, how did that change though your perspective?
I definitely felt like it was a humbling experience in and of itself. When I first got out there, I came out, as the TCU bounce back and well known and all of that. And my first game with Fullerton College, I just had a terrible first half, and I got benched and had to go and earn it all back. And it really just showed me, it was like a humbling experience that I wouldn't didn't necessarily want at the time, but I understood that I needed that in order to get to where I am now. And it was just the whole experience in and of itself was humbling, but it taught me a lot about gratitude and being appreciative for where I'm at and being able to take every opportunity and make the most out of it.
What was that like? I mean, all your friends and family, I'm sure, were watching you there, and then you get benched. Had you ever had something like that happen before?
I'd never. It was my first time ever having a game where I didn't have a catch. Even the spring game at TCU, I had a catch in that game, and I was, a walk-on and was barely playing, but I just had these high hopes and had these ambitions and dreams about how it would be and how easy it would be to go JuCo and go crazy and then get out. But then I had to realize and had to humble myself and learn the hard way that I was going to have to put more work in than I thought. And then I was able to do that. I had coaches that believed in me, and I had coaches that continued to push me to be the best version of myself, and it all paid off.
You said it there, and it's interesting to me that it seems like everyone at JuCo is there for different reasons. Everyone kind of has the same goal, which is to kind of try to make it out and get to Division I school like you did. What's that like, where everyone's kind of trying to balance their own aspirations with playing with the team, obviously?
I think it's really I feel like a big thing about junior college football is just that it's about what you make it out to be, and especially about being in California. It's like, and not having scholarships and having to balance your own personal life along with football. It's like it's very easy to get caught up in the other things that you have to do. But it's like, at the end of the day, your focus and your priorities are going to determine how far you go. And so when everybody's priority is on being the best version of themselves, and when everybody comes to that realization that nobody's going to look at you if you're the best player on a losing team. So everybody on my team was able to put our talents together and work together. And we had great coaching staff, great strength staff, great support staff around us. And it's like we didn't have the most. I mean, it's junior college, but like we made more than enough out of what we had.
What was the day-to-day like for you? I mean, obviously with attending class, needing to have 12 units to also be eligible, which I know being. But what were you doing? Getting up and still finding the time to train and do all the things you need to do there.
So we had a gym in my apartment complex that I stayed at, and my first apartment complex was a 2-bedroom that we stayed in with 6 people. And so we had a gym downstairs in the basement that didn't have any barbells or dumbbells or anything, but it had a fly machine, and so I was on that consistently every morning, and then was out at the grass field training before I had any classes. And then we had practice during the nights, and then I would work usually weekends. I only worked for weekends or on Sundays during the season, and then after the season I was working every day. But it was just the day-to-day was just filled with a bunch of work and making sure my schedule was filled, because I saw obviously there's a lot of success stories that come out of junior college, but there's also a lot of stories of guys that come in and aren't as successful or don't make it out. And so I knew what my priorities were, and I knew what I wanted to do, and I knew where my focus was and why I came out there.
How much discipline did you have to create for yourself, knowing that you were basically an adult in a different state where things are way more expensive too, and having to really survive on your own?
I'd say it was a lot, but I think that the biggest lesson that I learned was through strengthening my faith in Christ, was that I had to determine how much I love the sport. And through reading the Bible, my definition of love is sacrifice and what you're willing to sacrifice. And I said every day that God sacrificed his only son to save us, and that's love. So what things was I willing to sacrifice for my love of the game? And I was willing to sacrifice my time to put it into the gym, rather than playing video games, or sacrifice my time to get on the field. I knew what it was that I wanted, and I knew how much love I had for this sport, and that I wasn't going to let anything or let any difficult situation take away from that.
Walk me through getting the offer from Purdue. You get that confirmation of all the work you put in, and then just since then showing up, being part of a Power 5 program. What's that felt like for you?
It's definitely been a great experience. It's an experience that I always dreamed of. The call that I got from Purdue was, I started talking to CP a few weeks, or he was one of the first coaches that I had talked to, and just offer came on, I believe, a Wednesday right before I had to leave and go to my lift. But it was just a great experience, and then right afterwards I had a lot of other schools calling in, and the biggest thing for me was like I wanted to go to a school and go to a program where I felt that the love was real and it wasn't just because like somebody else was showing love. And so I chose Purdue just after I took my visit here, and it was the last school that I had visited just because I really liked the brotherhood and really fell in love with the people that were here and the family and the vision that we had for this program. And it's like things are difficult right now, but nothing worth having comes easy. And so I recognize that we're still a great team and we're still putting in work, and we're every day like we fight our own battles, we fight our own challenges, but we understand that we're all growing stronger from it, and there's no doubt or there's no worry that goes through any of our minds as we continue to go throughout the season and just trust the process.
Yeah. So you got off the phone with Corey before that lift, right before the lift?
Right before the lift.
I bet that was a good lift, right?
Yeah, it was cool. It was cool. I went in and I told my coach I had to use the restroom real fast just so I could go and post it and call my mom and everything. But I was walking over to the lift when I FaceTimed him. So it was real exciting.
That's awesome.
Can you describe, that conversation, with your family, given the fact that you come from, two very talented Division I athletes yourself, and then to finally give them that call while you were still in California?
Yeah, it was just my parents didn't know very much about junior college before I made the decision, and they felt obviously going from a Power 5 school that I was at TCU and making that decision to go to a junior college just under my own free will, and not it being like a last resort, but me taking that chance and betting on myself. It was really just a call to them, and like I had already gotten 3 offers prior to the Purdue offer, but when I called them with the Purdue offer, and after I had told them that I was making this decision because I wanted to go back to a Power 5 program, and I wanted it to be the way on my own terms and take that risk and take that chance on myself. And I called them, and the first thing I said was just, I did it. We did it, because it was just seeing those dreams come to fruition and seeing the work that I put in over a couple of months that I'd been there, just everything coming to fruition, and the vision that I had been given, and it was incredible. So,
plenty of junior colleges you could have gone to throughout the country, maybe with a little bit more security, and yet you chose California and you chose Fullerton. Why did you decide to go through that experience where you knew it might be a little bit more challenging than maybe some of the other schools you could have gone to?
The real reason was the day that we were still in spring ball at TCU, and I had my own individual Bible study, and the verse that I read was John 13:7, and he said, though you may not understand right now, later you will. Jesus replied, you don't understand right now, but later you will. And it's really just that same day I reached out and I understood that like I wasn't happy where I was at. I reached out to one of my old 7-on-7 coaches, and I was like, hey coach, like I can't do it here anymore. Like I don't feel like I'm growing. I don't feel like I'm progressing. I don't feel like I'm reaching my full potential while I'm here. And I asked him, like, if there were any places, if he could just keep a lookout, if there were any places that I could go and just start getting on the field and making a name for myself. And he was like, he called me back and told me that the Fullerton coach had just called him saying that he was looking for a wide receiver. And so it was just, I don't really believe in coincidence, and I felt like it was just when God gives you a sign, when God gives you an opportunity, you don't turn your back on it and then say, you can't say that you want something and then turn your back on it. And you can't say that you want to eat and then be upset when you have a full plate.
Were you cooking for yourself at Fullerton? Were you making your own meals, or did they?
I was, yeah. It was
different, right?
Definitely some struggle meals. One thing that I used to do was so my mom we had a Sam's Club membership, and so I used to go to Sam's, and I was still paying for all of my own stuff, and I used to get tortillas, cheese, and rotisserie chicken, and I'd get about 3 rotisserie chickens, 2 full packs of tortillas, and then 3 bags of shredded cheese. And for a week and a half to 2 weeks, that's what I ate every day. Whether I had an air fryer, so sometimes I'd make quesadillas, sometimes I'd fry the tortillas, cut them into chips, fry the tortillas, have tortilla chips and make nachos. Sometimes I made tostadas, sometimes I made tacos, and it's just like, that was my selection right there.
That was a go-to for you?
Exactly.